Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, December 12th, 2014, and the $1 trillion spending bill that just passed the House of Representatives has a little something for everybody to hate. Conservatives hate that Obamacare was financed through next year. They hate the illegal immigration was financed to next year. The Democrats hate that, parts of the Dodd-Frank financial regulation bill were rolled back so these guys, Wall Street, could invest in derivatives. And, of course, you know who gets picked up the tab when it blows up, taxpayers. The Democrats also upset. They rolled back the campaign financing laws and allowed people to, basically put in as much money as possible. Now, listen, not much money as possible, but up to $1.6 million per individual. And, there's plenty to hate in this, and both sides have good reason to hate what they hate. I mean, the Obamacare was nothing but a pack of lies concocted with the help of Jonathan Gruber, and he gave basically it was a paid consultant to Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, and the president. Yes, the president was involved, the highest levels of government, perpetrating this fraud onto America with lies, one lie after another. They knew they were lies. This is how they got it passed. The unconstitutionality of, the illegal immigration. He's just going to, not deport 5 million people. Also give, rights and benefits to 5 million people, which he cannot do. It's unconstitutional, overstepped his bounds. Even he said he overstepped his bounds. But, flip and flop. Now he says, oh, no, I have the right to do that. He said, a couple dozen times that he didn't have the right, the authority to, make legal 5 million people and give them rights and benefits, and that's exactly what he did. On the Democrat side, I mean, I don't agree with Nancy Pelosi much, but I tell you, when she said, oh, listen, all this money, something to the effect, all this, this campaign finance, that is getting blown up, whereas an individual can give up to $1.6 million through various channels and various ways to do it in an election cycle. A couple, 3.1 million, that's their cap. And she's saying, the little guy's going to be drowned out. Yeah. Valid point, Ms. Pelosi, valid point. Elizabeth Warren, who, likes, the regulation of the banks and thinks they're running wild. I mean, she's all up in arms about this, pushback, this reversal, this gutting of the Dodd-Frank bill that's going to allow them to gamble, even greater amounts. And then the taxpayer, when these derivatives and other crazy stuff they do blows up, the taxpayer will be on the hook, and it could sink the country financially. Really. There's trillions of derivatives out there, and who knows how they're backed and how they're set up, and actually nobody really knows how much real exposure's out there, debt exposure, but lots is out there, as I talked to Ellen Brown from Web of Debt blog at ellenbrown.com. I talked to her this week about that, and it's pretty scary. I mean, it's the biggest banks have, nearly $300 trillion in derivatives or something like that. I mean, it's unbelievable leverage in the system. It is frightening. And, I told you that Democrats would vote against President Obama. And look, they threw him under the bus in the midterm elections in 2014. And when what happened, this time, and tons of Democrats in the House, after Obama asked them to vote for this bill, and no, along with some Republicans, we heard about, widely reported split in the Republican Party and fighting with the Tea Party and not wanting to spend so much money and not have all the old school pigs at the trough, type of funding of the Republican Party. Democrats do it too. But now you're seeing a big split with Democrats. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, lining up with Elizabeth Warren in the Senate, and Nancy Pelosi, the minority leader, saying, no, don't vote for this. It barely passed. The spending bill in the House barely passed. And I think this is a precursor of what's to come, and it's some speculation. Why did Boehner feel he had to push this through now? Why? Was he afraid of some sort of black swan? I mean, you've heard about the reports, the government is buying survival kits and handing them out to the big banks. Yeah, they have a solar blanket, some energy bars, water purification tablets, medicine, bandages. Why are they sending that out to all the banks? Also, there's reports that, the Pentagon is thinking about sending our nuclear weapons back to the European theater. What? If it's reported that they're thinking about doing it, they've did it. We either have nukes in the European theater that we took out, after we signed treaties with Russia, or they're well on their way. Is Boehner worried about war? Is he worried about some sort of financial black swan if we took any kind of a chance to shut the government down? I don't know, but it's certainly dicey. On the next story, the CIA torture report that came out this week, and here it is on the front page of U.S. It's an ugly truth. This happened in the Bush administration. This was over before the Obama administration got into power, and when the Obama administration got into power, it's about interrogation techniques, torture is what the report says, interrogation techniques, and this is an old story. They just kind of expanded it. And the Obama administration didn't press charges at the beginning of his administration in 2009. Did not press charges. And now they're saying they're not going to press charges now. And let me tell you, I don't agree much with Dick Cheney either, but he did say, and I agree with him. He says, hey, this report is full of crap. And, just a couple of big points with this. I mean, they spent $40 million on this report. They did not talk to anyone at the CIA, past or present, including the current CIA director who was in the Bush administration. They didn't talk to anybody at the CIA and spent $40 million on what? I'm sure the CIA did some stuff wrong, but the Democrats, and this was a partisan report, other than the fact that John McCain, who was, held in the Hanoi Hilton for 5 years during the Vietnam War, but this is purely partisan report. I mean, they didn't talk to anybody from the CIA, and here's the best part, no charges. The Obama administration, Eric Holder, the Attorney General, no charges. Even though the UN wants members of the CIA and, rank and file and its leaders, charged and prosecuted, so does the ACLU, but no charges. No charges whatsoever. I mean, if you get a parking ticket, you're going to get a bigger charge than these guys are going to get. So, I don't understand the report. I don't understand the timing of the report. I don't. And what about the drone murder program? Maybe that's the reason why there are no charges. The drone murder program by the Obama administration. The president at one point actually bragged about how he was good at killing people. I think that's his exact quote. He was good at killing people. I mean, this is the drone murder program. They call it the drone program, but it is the drone. This is killing people without charge or trial. Just killing them, including American citizens. And they killed a few American citizens. And of that subset of American citizens, they murdered a 16-year-old boy whose father was previously murdered about a month earlier. They murdered a 16-year-old boy in a separate drone strike. Without charge, without trial. Murdered him. You think there might be some international charges for that? I mean, isn't the drone murder program, isn't murdering people at least as bad as waterboarding somebody or torching somebody? I think during the CIA enhanced interrogations, what they call it, I think one person died. But, in the drone murder program, thousands of people died as collateral damage, including, 100 or more, dozens and dozens, 100 or more children killed. Oops. The CIA has to be ripping mad over this. I mean, they trashed him, and they didn't even talk to anybody at the CIA. Whoa, I have a prediction. There's going to be a payback with this. I don't think they're going to murder him, even though they did spy on Dianne Feinstein in the Senate, who came up with this, was a main architect of this report. But there's going to be everybody in the Democratic side who came up with this report ought to be lily white. And again, I think it's hypocrisy at its finest. I mean, we have this report that was in the last administration that ended long before Bush left office, and nobody says a peep about the drone murder program? Not even USA Today? I mean, there's your big headline. It's an ugly truth. What about murdering, thousands and thousands of people as collateral damage, from 10,000 feet in the sky? Isn't that kind of ugly? Let me tell you why I think they came out with this report on the exact same day as Jonathan Gruber, the MIT professor who is the architect of Obamacare. And here's the headline. This is the first time that USA Today actually covered this story in the main part of their newspaper. Gruber, sorry for insulting comments on Obamacare. He's sorry for insulting. They were just insulting. No. He should be sorry for committing gross fraud and conspiring with people we elect to take care of us to do the right thing by us. And he conspired with the top levels of government all the way up to the president to basically defraud the American people to get them to think that the Obamacare legislation was something good, it would be cheaper, and you'd be able to keep your doctor. And that was a lie. All of it a lie. One congressman I heard in these hearings with him said it was fraudulent. I couldn't agree more. I think it's the biggest policy fraud ever perpetrated on America. Yes, Mr. Gruber, yes, Professor, you are at the center of the biggest policy fraud ever. I don't care what you say. And you said it over and over and over again on videotape. You were bragging about it, that, you concocted this, you made it as untransparent as possible. That was your friend. We had to do it, call it the stupidity of the American people. That's what he said. And I wonder if John Boehner didn't fund this because he figures, I think the Supreme Court will knock this thing out of the box. I think they'll dunk this thing. They had these subsidies they were supposed to get for anybody who set up a exchange. Well, many states didn't set up exchange, but they're giving subsidies to everybody. And they're going to go in there and argue that, well, our intent was, no. The other side's going to say, no. See this guy here? He said over and over again, their intent was to deceive. That was their intent. This wasn't an honest mistake that they overlooked. No, they meant to do what they did. So I think the CIA terror report, even though they did do some bad things, torture report, even though they did do some bad things, I think Congress knew about pretty much all of it. I think some people did some bad things, but I think this report came out now, shazam, because it covers up things like the Jonathan Gruber hearing. And also, here's another little thing that, that got slipped through while we were, looking about, worrying about all this other stuff. Congress passes bill which grants unlimited access to communications of all Americans. Of every American. This is a headline from Infowars.com. Congress passes bill which grants unlimited access to the communications of every American. That just slipped on by there. The really important things, which is the gutting of the Fourth Amendment and our constitutional rights about illegal search and illegal seizure, the Fourth Amendment, that we don't have the Fourth Amendment anymore. The government can just take any and all communication, no matter whether it's somebody tweeting out or, sending a text about a grocery store list, or somebody saying, hey, pick up, a box of shotgun shells for me, or whatever. They get any and all communications, unlimited access to the communications of every American. That got, slipped on by there. You didn't see that in USA Today, and you probably won't see that in USA Today because basically they're just a liberal spin machine, or a New World Order spin machine, in my humble opinion. But here's the story that they couldn't get enough of. Oh my Goodlands, look at this. These are the Madoff people, the co-conspirators, the employees of Madoff being sentenced this week. These are some of the stories that came out. Bios and pictures and tons of work on the 5 ex-Madoff staffers and what kind of sentence they got, everything from, 10 years, 6 years, 2.5 years. And look at this guy right here. Here's this guy's just a computer program, and I want you to read this right here. Here, can you see this right here? This is the USA Today. This is what a judge said. Here's a quote. And the judge says to this guy right here, okay, the judge says to him in the sentencing hearing, you should have stopped and immediately separated yourself from the fraud. Well, she's right. He should have stopped and immediately separated himself from the fraud. But, hey, what's good for the goose is also good for the banker. And, remember earlier this year, the beginning of this year, J.P. Morgan paid $2.6 billion to settle civil and criminal charges according to USA Today. And, back then they should have separated themselves from, sort of alerted regulators to the fraud, but it went on for years, according to the published reports. It went on for years. Wouldn't the Madoff people, including Bernie Madoff, wouldn't they like to pay a fine? And in this case, the fine was paid by J.P. Morgan shareholders. Wouldn't it be just nice if you could just say, "Ooh, my bad. Let me give you $20. Let me give you $100. Let me give you a few $1,000,000 of their money, to pay this fine." Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't the Madoff people like to have paid a fine and not go into the slammer for ripping people off? No, but J.P. Morgan, they get to just pay a fine out of shareholders' money. And you won't see this analysis at USA Today on the newspaper, or probably on any other newspaper, but especially USA Today, because, and I'm sure that the banking relationship that Gannett, which is USA Today's parent company, I'm sure the banking relationship that Gannett has with J.P. Morgan would never impact their reporting, that they would never back off on a story because of that. Thank you very much for supporting USAWatchdog.com. I appreciate all your comments. I read every one of them. I appreciate your donations. That helps us. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Here comes the best part. Fear not.